Welcome everyone to the Insight Meditation community of Charlotte. We're happy to have our Zoom folks here with us this evening after last week's little thunderstorm. Glad that worked out. Why don't we take a quick moment to just stretch out after that sit, get those body parts moving. Maybe everyone can say a little quick hi to each other also. Okay, and we'll settle back in. So the title of tonight's talk, can everyone hear me at home? We're good? Okay, great. So the title of tonight's talk is Pain, Mind If I Squirm? And I gotta tell you, after that last sit, I should have titled it Like Asleep, Mind If I Squirm? So when I began my meditation practice, I was taught that it was best to strive for stillness in my sits, which helps with the quieting of the mind and the body, for the development of concentration, and to see the present moment as it is. So I would think, great, I'd be good for a few breaths, and then a couple of thoughts would pop in, a few more breaths, a couple of thoughts, and then pain. And pain would consume my mind. I'd be distracted. The message I had heard was not to move my body because it disrupts the concentration. And no matter how much you move, another sensation is going to come along and we'll have the sense desire to move again. Well, tomorrow we start our Sangha residential retreat. And on retreat, the sits are a bit longer and more frequent. And though there are some who may readily fall into deep concentration on day one, show-offs, okay. The rest of us are probably going to feel a little bit of pain, at least for the first day. So I thought it would be a good idea tonight to look at how we might deal not only with the suffering piece of pain, which we often hear about, but the bodily pain. Is there anything we can do about this? But first, I'd like to share what I'm calling a poem, and I'm titling it Sitting with a capital S. I'm in a sit, a sensation arises. I sense that stinky old pain. An unpleasant feeling, a stimulus I want to separate from, and I sigh. I start to squirm, hoping nobody's looking and that everyone's eyes are still closed. Submitting to sense desire, I sneak a bigger stretch, still looking to see if anyone's eyes are open. I start to sweat. Stupid pain. I'm sick of this. Shame sets in. My self-restraint is not strong enough to sustain this pain. But then a split-second decision. Surrender to this pain and start again tomorrow, or simply select to show up for the next sliver of time, whatever it presents. Sustaining commitment to witness each momentary sensation. Secure the sensation will not stay the same for long because nothing stays forever. Sticking with the sit until the sound of the bell, signaling sweet release, and the pain subsides. I suspect my pain was strewn with a story. For Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation in the Buddha's words, in response to painful feelings, both the worldling and the noble disciple experience painful bodily feelings, but they respond to these differently. The worldling, us, reacts to them with aversion. Therefore, on top of the bodily feeling, also experience a painful mental feeling of sorrow, resentment, and distress. The noble disciple when afflicted with bodily pain, endure such pain patiently, without sorrow, resentment, or distress. The Buddha taught, while the bodily existence is inevitably bound up with physical pain, such pain need not trigger the emotional reactions of misery, fear, resentment, and distress with which we habitually respond to it. Through mental training, we can develop mindfulness and clear comprehension necessary to endure physical pain courageously, with patience and equanimity. Well, there you have it. Good luck, everybody. So do we simply sit with this pain and endure it? Well, for practiced meditators, this may well be possible. And it's a very worthy endeavor for the development and mastery of concentration. But for many of us, especially the newer practitioners, this can be our biggest challenge. Back pain, neck pain, etc. You guys know them. What if I can never unfold from this meditation posture? How will I get around? What if I have to live with this pain the rest of my life? What if I die from whatever's causing this pain? I admit, if I sat in lotus for a while, I would think, what if I get a blood clot from sitting here so long? I think I'm rattling. I didn't think I moved. We'll see. If it continues, I'll just yell out louder and take it off. Okay. So I've done some research on this situation about blood clots and my worry about blood clots. You know what I think it is? I moved my phone. Sorry, guys. So if you are sitting in lotus or full kneeling, it is extraordinarily unlikely that you will get a clot if you're sitting for less than 90 minutes. However, there's a qualifier. If you have flown in the last days or weeks, or have had surgery with anesthesia, it's a good idea not to have prolonged sitting in a folded up position such as lotus or kneeling. Back to the pain piece, little diversion. I personally believe it's hard to know what stillness and concentration are if you've not had a little taste of it. And it's hard to get a sampling of that concentration if we're enduring pain. That would be a much higher level skill, at least I think it's a much higher level skill. One-pointed focus is not going to magically appear if we are steeped in aversion to the pain we are experiencing. The antidote for aversion is loving kindness. So perhaps we can try gratitude for whatever that body part is that's giving you some pain and thank it for all it has done for you up to this point. Or maybe find a little compassion for that body part and sit with it as you would sit with a friend who is in pain. Psychologist Stephen Hayes at the University of Nevada says, when we have pain, it means we care about something. And if we make pain the enemy, we're making caring an enemy. If we find what it is we care about, we can find compassion. I believe there is benefit to the small squirm. The trick is to have a mindful approach. Watch your relationship to the pain before, during, and after you move. Bhante Gunaratana, in his book, Mindfulness in Plain English, tells us, just observe the pain mindfully. When the pain becomes demanding, you'll find it pulling your attention off the breath. Don't fight back. Let your attention easily slide over onto that simple sensation. Go into the pain fully. Explore the feeling. Get beyond your reaction and get to the pure sensations that lie below it. Don't add anything to it, and don't miss any of it. First, know the pain. Label it. Aching, throbbing. Maybe it's got a color, the color red, perhaps, dense, whatever your experience is. Studies have shown by naming the experience, it moves the neuronal firing in the brain from deep in the amygdala, which is our fear-based reptilian center, to the prefrontal cortex, where we make reason and sense of our experience, thereby reducing the panic response. Next, after naming, as you begin to move, bring your full attention to each moment of the experience. I recommend small, subtle movements. Often when we have pain, we start moving kind of big and fast, and we miss that sweet spot of relief. Just a millimeter of movement sometimes in the right direction can give us a little bit of ease in our body and release our muscle tension. I like the idea of using an imaginary round clock. And this can be kind of any position in your body, it can be horizontal or vertical. But let's use the neck, for example. Your nose could be the center of the clock, or your belly button could be the center of the clock if it's your back. And you just make small movements towards the different numbers and diagonals on the clock. And as you move, notice if the sensation changes. And just do this slow, and then stop if you get a little relief and rest there. Then you want to lastly notice any mind or body sensations after you move. Has the sensation of your pain changed? And now, can you get back to the breath? This is moment-to-moment awareness, the exact very definition of mindfulness. Bhante G tells us mindfulness never exists by itself. It always has some object, and one object is as good as another. Thus, I believe there can be benefit from the well-executed squirm. Our bodies do not have pain receptors. They have thermal, vibratory, pressure, and what are called nociceptors. Those are sensors that tell us to move away from a stimulus. Pain is a label, and it describes our total experience. Lorimer Moseley is an internationally respected pain researcher, and he has a wonderful YouTube video based on what he calls the brain protectometer. Each of us has a different experience of an event's effect on us. Know that pain is not equal to tissue damage. People who have gotten in an accident often have no pain because they have to get to safety first. When the body goes into a healing phase, it then starts to have some pain, so you will rest. We can have pain long after our tissues have healed. Pain experience is determined much more by the sense of safety or danger. Pain can be a lifesaver. We learn to not put our hand on the hot stove. However, a very minor injury to a very important body part yields more subjective pain. I'm a physical therapist. If I cut my hand, I have a profound experience, and it is mostly primarily rooted in fear. That is my livelihood. Risk is also a strong determinant of your pain experience. They did an experiment where they had a contraption that would apply pressure, and you would apply this to your own thumb. And then you would give it to your buddy who was sitting next to you, and they would press your thumb. And then they'd have a stranger come over and press your thumb. The pressure was the same in all three conditions, but yet the subjective report of pain was higher as there was perceived less control. When you did it to yourself, you kind of trusted it a little bit more than with the stranger. I'd like to share a few tips on how to perhaps deal with some bodily pain during our sits. Sitting posture is going to be number one. We ask in sitting posture, normally in our sits, for everyone to have an upright spine so you can have more free movement of your breath and hopefully to not fall asleep during your sits. But how do we get to that strong spine and that dignified posture without having pain in our back? So first and foremost, I would recommend, this has got a little visuals, guys, sorry about this. But if you can take your hands and place them at the top of your pelvis, kind of the bones where your belt would sit. And then if you gently rock forward and backward, as you go backwards, you might feel a little pressure on your tailbone. You come forward, you might feel a little pressure on the pubic bone in the front. And then you want to find the soft part of your saddle in the middle, where you're not pressing on either the bone in the front or the bone in the back. That often unto itself will help you with upright posture. Because if you go into a military posture, which people do by pulling their shoulders back, you can get a lot of compression of your upper back muscles. They can feel burny, rippy, and kind of achy. I suspect a few of us have felt that before. Now, once you find that position, you want to find some support if you do not have your back muscles developed with longer sits. If you're in a sitting posture, a little bit more of a lotus posture, which I apologize everyone, I know we're not doing cushions at the moment, but when we get back to it, we'll be ready. You might take a little support under the outside of your knee here so that it's easier to sit up straight and be comfortable at your knees. If you're in a chair, you might put a little yoga block underneath your feet so that you can be supported and your feet are stable on the ground. Some folks may choose to use a pillow behind their back. We just warn everyone, try not to go into a slouched posture, which will disrupt the breath and leave you more likely to fall asleep. What you might even try is a ball. I've got a little 4-inch ball here. And if you're in a chair and you're having difficulty with the upright posture, you can place this at your mid-back. For women, it's around bra line, just the base of your shoulder blades there. And it just gives you one little point to rest on to help you to open the chest and to have upright posture. So that's an option. Another option is you can just take a towel, sweatshirt, or sweater and make a little bit of roll with this. And what you do is you create a letter C. And then what you do is you bow forward a little bit. You're not going to be able to see this. You'll have to imagine this. You bow forward and you tuck the very little ends under the outsides of your hip bones. This will give you a little bit of back support, so you don't have to work quite so hard until your muscles are developed for the longer sits. One last thing I would like to mention on the posture is for your arm positioning. We often are sitting with our hands like this. That gives us a little bit of a tendency for some folks, if they're tight in the front of their shoulders and weak in the back, to roll a bit forward. I would recommend that you consider just taking a little rolled up sweater, sweatshirt, towel, whatever, and just place them under your hands. This will help you to keep your shoulder blades back and down on your rib cage. Next, you could use your breath to help deal with bodily pain. So we're using it in an anchor, ideally, but you can bring your breath to an area or region of pain. And as you breathe in, the body expands a little bit. The whole body expands on breath in, and the whole body gets a little smaller on breath out. But as you breathe into that area, let it expand a little, and then soften on breath out. And just keep doing that until you hone on into that pain spot. That will often soften the pain spot for you. Also, if you follow the breath, we have the beginning of the breath in, mid, and then the end of the breath in, and then we have the breath out, beginning, middle, and end. If you follow the pain, you will often notice a difference in the sensation between breath in and breath out, which is kind of a nice relief because your pain might not be as constant or as frequent as you think. It might only be half the time. Gives us a little relief. Another thing you can do is, if you're trying to get back to the breath, you can use a little ratio breathing, but also focus on a body part that's not having the pain sensation and bring your attention there. So either with the counting or the intention on another body part, follow that until you can come back to the breath and then abandon that technique and just follow the breath. You can try open awareness. Open awareness is when we don't have breath as our anchor, but the other sensations that are coming into our body that we're aware of moment to moment. So perhaps right now I'm hearing crickets. I don't know if you guys hear crickets at home. It could be the air conditioning, a settling crack, pain, whatever you're following in the moment. And what you'll start to notice is that your pain will not be each and every sensation that you detect. So again, your pain is not constant, it gives you a little relief. It also helps us to recognize the transitory nature of our pain and our attention. Let me do this. Thanissaro Bhikkhu, in his book, With Each and Every Breath, asks us to notice what happens if we stop labeling the sensation as pain and simply just label it sensation. We can try another meditation posture that the Buddha has taught. So perhaps instead of sitting, we might stand, might lie down, or we might do a walking meditation to try to develop our concentration. There are reports of people having, during meditation, experiences of past memories arising out of the pain sensation that have been stored in our body parts and tissues. Perhaps you might feel open enough to allow for that possibility. When you choose to focus on the pain point, note, does this feel like or seem like anything I have witnessed before? Ask, what is the pain protecting? What is the threat? When we have an injury, things get attached to it. There's a big difference if you stub your toe and hurt your toe running across the street to get a 2-year-old out from under a car, or if you have the exact same injury tripping at work in front of your nasty boss with your coworkers laughing. Very different experience. So now, this next strategy takes a little longer, but can begin in a sit. And that is to try to maximize the tranquility of your internal and external environment that you're living in. Our nerve cells have ion channels that adapt to our environment. If you live in a dangerous environment, whether it's internal, external, real, or imagined, the nerve adapts by putting down more ion channels to easily detect threats of danger. It becomes more vigilante. And a calm environment does the reverse. It decreases the number of ion channels that detect threat. This remodeling happens every 2 days. We always have a chance to make a difference. David Butler, physiotherapist, world-renowned for his work in understanding pain, says, shift happens. We need a threat adjustment. Meditation is a great technique to positively change our environment, thus changing our wiring. I want to point out that if you are experiencing significant pain that truly doesn't change, no matter your position or situation, get a medical examination. But while you are here, be here. When you're with the doctor, be with the doctor. Other practical ideas, you guys already know this. Stretch before and after. Well, if you didn't stretch beforehand, you certainly are after. So good to get moving after our sits. Get our lava lamp moving. I would also recommend consulting your MD for this, but 150 minutes of cardiovascular exercise per week or low load, high repetitions of exercises, strengthening, has been shown to increase blood flow, reduce inflammatory chemicals, and to reduce pain sensitivity. So it may actually be important to have a good exercise routine so you can sit well. If we are lucky, pain will happen in our lives. It can save us from harm and death. However, it can be a distracting impediment to our concentration. Perhaps you can try a strategy or two that was mentioned tonight. And when wise, a mindful squirm. And ask, am I layering this experience with sorrow, resentment, and distress? Soften the breath, soften the body, soften the mind. Perhaps you might just find a glimmer of hope that you can endure this physical pain courageously with patience and equanimity. Let's do it. Little over, guys. I was trying not to speak my New York fast. So now we'll have some time for some questions and possibly some answers. And for our folks at home on Zoom, you are welcome to use the chat box, or you can try raising a hand and I'll try to do my best to be technologically savvy here. Any questions? Is it a painless talk?
I appreciate all the suggestions, different props and different things to have posture. I find that the little squirm, I didn't know what, I did that too, but I didn't really find out.
There you go.
Very good.
Very, thank you. Thank you. So Justine was sharing that she appreciated all the tips and has used a bit of the Squirm and hadn't thought of it that way. So yeah, nice of you to admit it. There's two of us admitting the Squirm.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, it looks like we have a little something here from Babita. Let me open our chat. Oh, thank you, Alexis. And thank you, Babita. You guys are making my job easy here. I love it. Maybe what we can do is go on to the announcements, and then if there's any more questions, I can circle back. September 2nd, we have the book discussion group beginning, the book Unbinding, and Joy will be leading this book group. And you can find the information for all these announcements and for Joy's book group online at the website, imccharlotte.org. September 12th, we will have a pop-up meditation at 10 a.m. at Boyce Park. September 18th, we will have our annual picnic. Well, it's annual, skip 1 year from last year. It'll be at shelter number 6. It's all outdoors, so we can be mindful, maybe bring some blankets so that if we need to spread out a little bit more, we can do that. We are asking folks to bring their own little picnic meal. We'll provide water and ice and some desserts. We're trying to keep this as COVID friendly as possible. And also, if you can bring a canteen or a water bottle, we'll provide the water, but we're going to try to minimize the number of the use of the solo cups, so we're not harming the environment here. I left out one more thing, and it will occur to me tonight at 2 a.m. and I will get on the WhatsApp, or not the WhatsApp, the group me to let everybody know what it is. September 21st, the Beyond the Basics class starts with Debbie, and it's on Samadhi. So you can find that on the website. September 22nd, we will have the Dharma Leader panel. That's always a great night. And we'll do it by Zoom if we need to do it by Zoom. We did that last year, so that'll work out. October 5th, we have a Basics of Insight meditation class with Larry DeWalt. So for new folks, they can join that, or even for folks who want to refresh their practice. Tuesdays, our sits are at noon on Zoom. The link is on the website. We will have our instruction sessions in person at 7 p.m. every Wednesday, and that's up to this minute. You might hear something different next week. Practice discussion sessions will be on the first Wednesday of each month at 6:45 p.m. That may be Zoom, that might be in the room. We'll let you know. Deep bow to all of our volunteers. This cannot happen without our volunteers, so thank you. And on that note, we'd like to ask if we do remain in person over the next few weeks, we would like to ask if anyone might help out by being a greeter. And a greet is much easier these days because we're just doing name tags, directing people to Purell and telling them to keep a little space. So it's pretty easy at the moment, a great way to meet people. We are also looking for another member for our finance committee. And if you're interested, please let me know, or let personnel, and you can let me know on the website, and I'll be able to pass that information on. We are grateful for any Donna generosity that is expressed here via the Donna box in the back or via the website to keep these teachings going. So please visit the website if you would like to express generosity to this Sangha. We will get back to everyone. Things are changing in the Delta scene with COVID. We will let you know if there's any updates. And last but not least, we would like to send out a big congratulations to our Sangha friends, Gary and E. June, who got married this past March. That is our bright spot in the Sangha over this last COVID year. They are very happy, well, from what we're hearing, and come in smiling every day. And we're very happy for you, and we wish you the very best. Any other announcements that I may have missed? Okay, any questions, anyone? Okay, why don't we go on to metta? We'll do a metta loving kindness meditation. So if everyone will, get in a comfortable, bit dignified posture, settling back in. I'm going to say a few phrases, and if you'll please repeat them silently to yourself. And you're welcome to use your own phrases if you desire. We'll start by just bringing to mind someone who you wish to express loving kindness, to have the goodwill of loving kindness for this person's experience, or a pet, whomever. Now we'll start for ourselves. May I be safe from inner and outer harm. May I be peaceful in this moment. May I be healthy in mind and body. May I live with joy and ease. Now for the person you identified for sending metta love and kindness. May you be safe from inner and outer harm. May you be peaceful in this moment. May you be healthy in mind and body. And may you live with joy and ease. Now we bring our attention to all sentient beings in our homes, here in Sangha, in the chapel, our community, the whole world. May we all be safe from inner and outer harm. May we all be peaceful in this moment as it is. May we all be healthy in mind and body. And may we all live with joy and ease. And may any benefit derived from this evening's gathering be for the benefit of all.